Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and thanks so much for being here today. Today's video is going to be my September TBR and we're switching up the background. I don't know, I just feel like I've been filming all my videos in the same exact spot, and if I'm getting bored of that spot, then perhaps you are as well. So I'm trying something new. I hope it's working. I hope you like the pink. I hope it's just working, you know what I mean? Anyway, today's video is going to be the September TBR. We've got books from all genres, all different types of books, and I'm excited for all of them. However, let me just preface by saying that school is back in full swing, okay? Okay. Full swing. And so if there's any of these books that I don't get to, it's not because I'm not interested. In fact, I'm very interested in all of these books. It's just that, you know, school, I guess, is supposed to win my attention. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Anyway, let's get into the TBR. I'm excited. There's books of all genres, and I've actually already finished one of them, but I thought I would still mention it in case you're interested in reading it alongside me, and then we can talk about it in my September wrap-up. Does that make sense? Great. That was supposed to be like a wrap-up, like I'm wrapping it up. Wrapping it up! I don't know if that is what it looked like, but that's what it was. Okay, so we're gonna start with the book that I've already finished, which is just last night. I actually vlogged the process of reading this book, so there will be a vlog out very soon where I talk more about this book. But for the purposes of a TBR, I'm just gonna say it's about four best friends, thickest thieves, super close, and in that group of four friends, there's two of them who have always kind of had a thing for each other but never acted on it, and then a tragic accident happens within this group of friends and they have to figure out how to recover from it. And so if you were looking at this book like, hey, whoa, sweet, fluffy romance, because that's definitely what I thought from the cover. I was like, oh, it's just gonna be a cute little romantic comedy type of book. No, it is not. It is lots of grief, lots of anger, lots of betrayal, lots of sadness, lots of unanswered questions. So that's all I'll say. I really liked it. It was kind of exactly what I was looking for in a romance, because I wanted a romance. I wanted a book that had romance in it and was kind of a center of the book, but I wanted something sad. And this book is really sad. I cried on a beach when I was reading it, which I don't know if the crying is in my vlog, but I did cry and I did get footage on the beach. So anyway, if you're interested, you can read this month and then we can talk about it in my wrap up where I give you clearer thoughts on it. But anyway, there we go. That's the first one. All right, next we have another book that I've started. I have not finished it yet, but I thought it would be fitting to put it on a September TBR, and that is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, same author that wrote Daisy Jones and the Six and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. You'll also be seeing another one of her books on this TBR for my book club with Joel and Elias, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Anyway, I have had this on my shelf for a really long time and someone was just talking about it and I was like, that plot sounds really interesting, so I picked it up. Basically, it's about a woman named Emma who falls in love at a very young age and she gets married and they're just totally in love, and then her husband is in a helicopter accident and is lost and everyone assumes that he's dead. And so a couple years later, she ends up meeting another love and she gets engaged, and then she gets a call from her thought to be deceased husband, and she now has to reconcile these feelings of like, oh my god, I never thought I was gonna see this person again and they were like the love of my life, but also like I fell in love with someone else and I'm engaged, and trying to figure out who she's gonna choose and what's gonna happen. So I haven't finished this yet, but another romance with at least illusions of death and then lots of grief and lots of sadness. So yeah, I'm not done with it yet, but we will discuss it in the wrap-up, and there you have it. Speaking of Taylor Jenkins Reid, my book club, the late night book club that I run with Joel and Elias, for our 1-year anniversary of the book club, put up a poll for all of you to vote on what our September book read was. So the first book we ever read for the book club was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We put up a poll. Actually, it was all Joel. He's the one that ran that poll. So thank you so much to Joel. I love you so much. So he put up the poll and everyone voted, and the winner of that poll was Malibu Rising, which seems fitting, right? We read Seven Husbands a year ago, and then we're reading Malibu Rising. I've already read this book, so if you already know my feelings on this book, that's because I've talked about it before. But I'm so excited to reread this because I was so enthralled with the story the first time around that I was speed reading it. I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And so I'm so excited to reread it, to slow down a bit and to really pick up on details I wasn't recognizing or didn't notice the first time around. There's also a slight tie-in to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, so it feels almost like we're reading the sequel-esque. They're not connected. I mean, they're not like contingent on one another. You can read this one without reading Seven Husbands, but there's a little bit of a tie-in, which I think is sweet for our 1-year anniversary as a book club. So if you'd like to read this with us, we are reading it in September and we'll be discussing it in the first weekend of October. So we're all very excited, and yeah, very thrilled to be reading this with everyone and all of you. All right, next up, we have a book that is inspired by the fact that I read The Chosen and the Beautiful last month, which is a Great Gatsby retelling. And so I wanted to read another retelling, and I've decided it's time to read These Violent Delights. Oh my God, I'm so excited. This is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet set in Shanghai, and just look at the cover, my friends. Holy smokes, the gold and the roses. Oh, it just looks so good. And I actually got the audiobook on Libby, and so already the narrator is incredible. I've only listened to a couple minutes, but right away I was like, oh, I'm getting sucked in right now and I can't read this very moment, so I have to hit pause because this narrator's voice is so good. So I'm really excited to read this. Again, I read The Chosen and the Beautiful last month, which is another retelling, and so I just wanted to read a retelling. And I think actually, was it the month before, I read Neon Gods, which is like a Hades and Persephone retelling. So I'm really into retellings right now. If you have any other kind of classic stories that are retold in a really cool way, I'd love to give them a read. But so far, again, only a few minutes in, audiobook is excellent, and I can't wait to read this. And I believe Joel, I asked Joel if he's read it and what he thought, and he said it was super good. So I trust him, and I'm ready for this book. All right, the next book that I would love to read this month, I don't have a physical book of, because again, I'm not buying books right now, so I don't have the physical book. I'm gonna try to find an ebook for it or the audiobook for it, but the book is Things We Lost in the Fire, which has an incredible cover. Actually, it has a few incredible covers, but let me just read you just a quick description. Thrilling and terrifying, Things We Lost in the Fire takes the reader into a world of Argentine Gothic, a world of sharp-toothed children and young girls raked by desire, where demons lurk beneath the river and stolen skulls litter the pavements, a world where the secrets half buried under Argentina's terrible dictatorship rise up to haunt the present day, and where women, exhausted by a plague of violence, find that their only path out lies in the flames. Oh my God! Just that description alone gives me chills. It just sounds so good. Sharp-toothed children and young girls raked by desire where demons lurk beneath the river. Oh my God. It sounds so good. If you've read this book, please let me know what you thought, because this sounds super interesting. One of the blurbs on the front of the cover says, full of claustrophobic terror. Oh my God, doesn't that sound so good? Okay, I'm so excited for this book. I don't want to break my book buying ban, but I want to for this book because I just think I'm going to devour it, and I'm so excited. So if you've read it, let me know what you thought, and yeah. All right, another book I'd love to read in September is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. Hi, yes, Noelle is focused on her mental health, and she wants to read about it. It looks to me like this is an author's perspective, like this is more of a almost memoir, it seems like, where she's reflecting on her time as a therapist and then also as someone who has gone to therapy. And so she's kind of talking her way through some stories, reflecting on things she's learned. I don't know. That's my brief impression I have of this book. It says, rarely has a book challenged me to see myself in an entirely new light and was at the same time laugh out loud funny and utterly absorbing. So I've seen it all over the place, which I feel like is a good sign. I think it's going to be a pretty good read, and I'm all about therapy right now. So reading about a therapist or reading about someone's time in therapy sounds super interesting, and I'm excited to get to it. All right, a book that I talked about in my last book haul that so many people said was amazing, that I am 1000% going to be reading this month, is Trick Mirror. I think it looks so cool. What an incredible cover. And I said this in the last one, but it says, in each essay, Tolentino writes about a cultural prism, the rise of the nightmare social internet, the advent of scamming as the definitive millennial ethos, the literary heroine's journey from brave to blank to bitter, the punitive dream of optimization which insists that everything, including our bodies, should become more efficient and beautiful until we die. So it's just a collection of essays, and once I talked about it, so many of you gave it glowing reviews, and so I need to dig in. I need to know more about this book, and I'm so excited to read it. I think it's really making a splash right now, and so I want to know what all the love is about. So I'm super thrilled to read it. All right, another romance I'd like to read this month is How to Fail at Flirting. This is a book about a woman who has had a really, really traumatic and abusive last relationship, and so she's closed herself off from romance and getting to know new people. She feels like she can't trust anyone, understandably so, and then her friends are like, hey, you need to get out there. Here's a list on like what you need to do. It reminds me a little bit of Get a Life, Chloe Brown, where it's like, here's a checklist of things you should go out and do. And so that's what she's doing. She goes out to a bar one night by herself. Actually, I think she's supposed to meet her sister there, and her sister doesn't show. And so while she's there, she meets a guy, and she's immediately attracted to him, but because of her past and because of her ex-boyfriend, she's having a lot of trouble trusting him and opening up to him and accepting his kindness. Totally makes sense, but I already really like the main character. I'm only a couple chapters in, but I really want her to be okay, and I really want someone to love her the way that she deserves. She's like this brilliant professor, and I just want everything to turn out okay, and so we will see what happens. But I just do want to caution, because there is a lot of conversation around abuse, and there's a little bit of flashback so far about things that she's had to go through because of her ex, and so just keep that in mind if you're interested in picking this up. But I'm very interested to see how this turns out, and I hear it's great, so yeah. All right, this is a book that I've talked about on another TBR. I think it was July's TBR, but then I think it was July, and then July was just such an up and down month for reading for me, but this month I am dedicated to read it, and that is Her Body and Other Parties. This is a short story collection from the same author that wrote In the Dream House, which is one of the best autobiographies I've ever read, especially since of the way it was told. It was so creative, like such a fascinating way to tell a memoir or to write a memoir. And so I already know the writing's gonna be stunning. I'm really excited to read more short story collections, as I have been doing this year. And so I can't wait to get to this one. And I swear to you, I will be reading it. July was just such a weird reading month. So we're gonna get to this one, and it's gonna be excellent, and I can't wait. And then the last book in this TBR, in the September TBR, is a book that I talked about in my wrap-up that so many of you were interested in because the synopsis sounds great. And then I started reading it, and it's, you know, I don't know if it's gonna work for me, but I'm gonna try it because I think it would be interesting if we all read it and then had a conversation. Anyway, it's The Rocks. So I believe a few of you have picked it up because I talked about it in that video. And then I saw a comment that was like, I'm sitting on Goodreads right now reading all of the terrible reviews on The Rocks, and now I can't wait for Noelle to read it and tell us how she felt. So I feel like now I have to read it. I have to finish it at least because of that comment, and because I think a lot of you picked it up because of me. And so if you'd like, I am pledging to read and finish this book by my September wrap up, and then we can all join each other on the adventure of reading this book and talking about how it goes. I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm nervous because the writing's not even bad. It's just that it's a lot of detail. It's like so much detail that I'm not sure I need for the overall impact. And it's a pretty thick book and the writing is pretty small. I was gonna show you, but I think I'm too far away. Anyway, I'm gonna read it. And if you'd like to join me, and then we can all vent it out in the comments, that'd be great. I mean, who knows? Maybe I read it and I think it's fantastic, and like, maybe it's just kind of like the growing pains of the first couple chapters that I just need to get through, but that comment is just ringing in my head about how they were reading bad reviews. Oh, I don't know. Okay, I promise to read this in September, and then if you'd like to join me, we can talk about it. But that is the end of the September TBR, my friends. I hope this video was fun. Please let me know what you plan on reading in September. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought. If you are joining me for The Rocks or Malibu Rising or any of these other books, let me know and tell me what you're excited to talk about in the wrap up. But anyway, that's the end of this video, my friends. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!